Have you ever spent a lifetime being the strong one, the reliable one, the person others leaned on, only to realize, one day, that all that strength was quietly destroying you? Have you ever carried a weight so silently, for so many years, that when the moment came to finally ask for help, you couldn't form the words? This is the story of the day Daniel Parker's hidden struggle was seen just in time. This is the story of a man who almost walked away from his own life, saved by the kindness of two strangers. It was the kind of winter morning where the cold wasn't just in the air, it was in the bones. Daniel Parker, 59, the problem solver, the steady hand, the man who always said, "I'll handle it," felt something inside him cracking. 4 months AD, been disappearing. Not in a dramatic way, but in the quiet ways no one notices at first. He stopped laughing at small jokes, stopped reading before bed, stopped joining his wife Claire for tea, stopped sitting at the dinner table at all. Sleep had become a stranger, worry a constant companion, bills piled like small mountains, and the home that once carried the sound of living now held only sighs that Daniel never meant anyone to hear. Claire watched him fade, day by day. She asked gently, "Daniel, where are you?" But he always offered the same 3-word shield: "I'm fine." Really, words he had said his entire life, even when nothing was fine. And slowly, the man who supported everyone forgot how to support himself. One freezing afternoon, Daniel didn't explain anything to Claire. He just put on his old coat and stepped outside. He didn't want to leave, not truly. But he needed space from the world before the world swallowed him whole. He walked past shops he had known for decades, but felt nothing. Past children playing, but felt no warmth. Past holiday lights, but felt no joy. His phone buzzed again and again. Claire's name filled the screen. He loved her more than she ever knew. But he couldn't answer, because answering meant telling the truth. And the truth was, he was scared of everything. Of failing, of breaking, of being seen as weak, of not knowing where to begin repairing a life coming apart at the seams. He silenced the phone and kept walking. By the time he reached the river, the day had faded into dull gray. There was an old wooden bench, worn, familiar, like something that had listened to thousands of stories without ever telling one. A man sat there, gray hair, gentle eyes, a flask of tea warming his hands. Daniel sat at the far end, not wanting to disturb the man, but too tired to keep walking. 4 minutes. The silence sat between them. Then the stranger spoke softly, in a tone that felt like it had waited years for this moment. "You've been carrying this alone for a long time, haven't you?" Daniel froze. No one had said that to him. Not ever. The man offered the faintest smile. "My name's Michael. And you don't have to talk. Just don't carry it alone today." Those words, soft, simple, but placed gently in the exact wound, broke something inside Daniel in the most merciful way. Michael pointed across the river. "There. Yes. A small cafe. My wife and I run it. Come warm up a bit." Daniel hesitated. Pride fought with exhaustion. But exhaustion finally won. The cafe was glowing with yellow light, fogged windows, fresh bread, and a smell that felt like home even before he stepped inside. Behind the counter, Marianne looked up. Her smile wasn't cheerful. It was understanding. The kind of smile that doesn't ask for explanations. "Sit. Anywhere," she said softly. Without asking, she brought him hot soup. Thick, warm, alive when he tasted it. A warmth spread through him, not just in his body, but somewhere deeper, somewhere neglected. Marian studied him for a long moment. "You're not a man who failed," she said quietly. "You're a man who hasn't rested in a very long time." Daniel looked down, embarrassed, but the truth in her words landed gently. Night fell, and snow began to drift across the windows. Michael joined them at the table. For the first time in months, Daniel let the words come. "Work is falling apart. I can't keep up. I'm behind on bills. I'm scared to tell Claire. Scared she'd see I'm not who she thought. His voice cracked. I don't know where to start anymore. Michael nodded slowly. I know that feeling. The world expects strong men to carry everything, but strength isn't silence. Silence is what breaks us, Marion added. People who have always been strong forget that they're allowed to rest. They're allowed to need. They're allowed to say, I'm not okay. Her words made Daniel close his eyes, because no one had ever said that to him. Michael sighed deeply, the kind of sigh carried by memory. There was a time, he said, when I almost walked away from everything too. Daniel stared. You? Michael nodded. I thought my wife would be better off without me. I thought disappearing would spare her. He shook his head softly. I was wrong. People don't want your perfection. They want you, even the flawed parts. His voice grew firmer. Claire won't be better without you. None of us are better without the people we love. Something heavy inside Daniel finally cracked, and tears came. Slow, unsteady, but freeing. Michael didn't move. Marion didn't move. They simply stayed. Present, quiet, human. Sometimes presence is the only medicine. When Daniel could finally breathe again, Marion touched his arm. Go home, she said gently. Not to fix everything, but to let your wife see you. Really see you, Daniel whispered. What if I can't fix it? Michael leaned forward. When you tell the truth, people become stronger. When you hide it, they break. Daniel walked home through falling snow, each step heavy, but purposeful. When he reached the door, a warm light glowed through the window. Not accusing, not disappointed. Just waiting. Claire stood in the hallway, eyes red from worry. Daniel took her hands. Hands he had forgotten to hold. I'm tired, he whispered. I'm scared. I'm overwhelmed, and I don't want to pretend anymore. Claire didn't collapse. She didn't panic. She didn't judge. She simply leaned her forehead on his and said through tears, You never had to be perfect, Daniel. You just had to stay. And in that moment, the home that had felt empty for months breathed again. The next morning, Daniel returned to the cafe. Michael raised his eyebrows. Well, Daniel smiled softly. I told her everything. And nothing broke. Michael nodded. That's because truth builds bridges. Silence burns them. From that point on, Daniel returned often. Sometimes for soup. Sometimes for conversation. Sometimes for a moment of quiet. And slowly, step by step, the man who had almost walked away began to return to himself. He rebuilt his work, rebuilt his confidence, rebuilt his connection with Claire. He even helped younger men at work talk about the struggles they never dared to mention. He learned that healing doesn't come all at once. It comes in small pieces. A warm cafe, a stranger's kindness, a truth spoken out loud. In the second half of life, the bravest thing a person can do is speak the truth. They've been buried for years. Before silence turns into distance, and distance turns into loss. Sometimes, a stranger on a bench and a bowl of warm soup arrive at the exact moment you didn't know you needed saving. Daniel's life didn't change overnight, but it did change. Because he finally let someone see him, and that saved everything. If Daniel's story touched something in you, if you recognized even a small part of your own journey, don't keep it to yourself. Share this video with someone who may still have time to speak their truth. And if you want more stories like this, stories for the second half of life, stories that heal quietly, stories that remind you your story isn't over, make sure to subscribe. More chapters are coming, and one of them may be the turning point you've been waiting for.